So saith the wise Alondo.
Welcome to the first episode of Mages and Murderdads, the only podcast dedicated to playing all of the Baldur's Gate games. Probably. There's probably another podcast, but I'm Cameron.
I'm Danny.
And, so we're going to talk about Baldur's Gate all the way through. We're going to play them all, I think. And then we're going to talk about them all, and we're going to say what we feel. We're both big old nerds.
You know, relatively speaking.
Okay. We are both people who have played a lot of Baldur's Gate in all of its iterations, all around the world.
Around the world, that's true.
All around the world. So we thought it'd be really fun. We talked about this a while back, the idea of doing a podcast or just playing through these things, and so we're actually going to do it now. So we're playing the enhanced editions of the games, and I guess you could play along with us if you wanted to.
If your heart desired.
I mean, I guess you could stay like a little bit ahead, and you could play along with us. So we're going to be signposting all of that stuff. So this episode, for example, goes from the very beginning of Baldur's Gate 1 and goes all the way to Baragost, or somewhere right around Baragost, and we'll kind of talk through that as we go. So if you want to go and like play through 3 hours of the game and then come right back, you could do that.
We'll be here.
We'll be right here.
We're not going anywhere.
And so you can pause it right here.
Okay. Hopefully you hit play again.
You're back.
Okay.
We're all back.
Okay.
All right, Danny. So, tell me, we were talking before this started. Mm-hmm. We were talking about how super weird the Enhanced Edition is.
The Enhanced Edition of Baldur's Gate is quite different from the original Baldur's Gate, as I remember it. I don't know how old I was when I first booted up Baldur's Gate 1.
Baldur's Gate 1 came out in 1998.
Oh boy. So that's a while back. And I don't think that at the time I bought that game and played it, even within a year of it coming out, it probably was, sat on the shelves of the Walmart in my county for a good long while before I saved up my allowance and bought it. But I remember the game very differently from the way it's presented in the Enhanced Edition.
Yeah. There's a lot of I don't know how to quite say it. There's a lot of bastardization going on in this goddamn game. No, I'm just kidding. A lot of all of the graphics, I guess, because those graphics don't scale to HD at all.
Yeah.
Right? Like all the pre-rendered stuff. And so all of that's been replaced by like animated motion comics, kind of. That's maybe the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I think this is one of the biggest differences, right? Is you just take that mouse wheel, and when you zoom out, you zoom out to just untold levels. Like things that you would never remember from playing Baldur's Gate. Because when you played Baldur's Gate, you saw roughly, 30 yards around you. Mm-hmm. And you just kind of had to deal with it, and the graphics were what they were. And I think you could zoom in a little bit, but I don't even know how much.
I don't think you could zoom in.
Yeah,
I think you were just static.
You were just there. But in this new Enhanced Edition, you can zoom out to kind of resolutions that you might be used to if you've played games in this genre, say Baldur's Gate 2, Icewind Dale 2, and the other kind of spiritual successors of the genre. So that's a huge difference, and it's kind of it's a quality of life improvement, I guess.
You think it's an improvement?
I do. There are definitely things that make the game is a little bit easier to navigate because of being able to zoom in and out, I think.
It's true. So because I think we could belabor a number of different points about this, but I'm going to look at I'm going to read off a list of the things that are different between those two, between the original Baldur's Gate and Enhanced Edition. So, enhanced HD display. So all that stuff around. There is a bunch of extra classes.
Yeah.
And like subclass kits or whatever, and we can talk about that when we talk about character creation in just a minute. They apparently fixed a bunch of bugs. They added Tales of the Sword Coast, which was their first expansion pack for Baldur's Gate. And there's a bunch of new NPCs and characters like that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. And I think this is the biggest one. There is a quick save button on the sidebar of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It also tells you on the character portraits what your character is doing that turn.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed that?
Yes, I have. I know that's the first thing I noticed.
Okay.
After I had my wild mage accidentally slow my entire party.
Oh, that's what those little symbols are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see it. That's going to be very useful when we get into the more tactical battles of the game, which we are. I don't know. We're maybe getting to.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that in just a second. But yes, I've had a bad time already, already in Baldur's Gate because it's kind of difficult. But before we talk about the actual game proper, let's talk about creating characters. So before we did this podcast, before we made the decision to do it, we talked to each other and we said, let's not play the same characters. Let's make sure we get a diverse experience so we can talk about, the differences in how the game is designed for different character classes. Mm-hmm. So you want to talk a bit about your character?
Sure. Balthazar is a half-orc fighter, subclass barbarian. So this is, because I imagine this is Baldur's Gate, and it's cribbing from 2nd edition. There is no separate barbarian class. Barbarian is, I guess, a kit to a fighter. So they just took a fighter and kind of added a few things to him. So it's he can't wear like heavy plate, for example. I think the heaviest armor he can wear is splint mail, and he gets to do a barbarian rage once a day, which I guess is pretty good. Which is, makes you real strong, real mean, real fast.
It does.
And I considered for a hot second being a wizard slayer, which is basically just a fighter that destroys mages. Like every time you hit a mage, their spellcasting failure rate goes up 25%, which is just brutal.
So do you know? So when people do the single character runs,
they have to do that.
Or that's the class that people choose to use, yeah. Mm-hmm. Just because it's it nullifies so much of the game.
Yeah, basically. And it's kind of like if most of the fights that do not feature, like most of the very hard fights, rather, that don't feature a spellcaster can be cheesed way easier, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If it's a melee thing, you can kite it or get it stuck on something, etc., etc., whereas... So that makes sense. But I instead went a little bit more old-fashioned. And the most important thing about Balthazar is the fact that I spent a good 30 minutes rolling his stats. So he's got very high stats.
You just kept hitting that reroll button.
That's true. So yeah, it's a hybrid system where you roll for your stats, and then after you roll for your stats, it's a point buy. It's a modified point buy system. So, you hit roll, and the game rolls 3d6 6 times, and those are your statistics. If you're not a Dungeons and Dragons nerd, kind of 18, 19, that's as strong as you can be. 10 is kind of I always imagined 10 was pretty average or maybe slightly above average for a person. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so when you hit roll, you will have a number below all 6 statistics, and that number is the total number of points you get. And if you want, you can decrease one of those statistics a little bit to increase one of the other ones. But if you just wail on that button, you will eventually get really high numbers. And it's actually easier for some classes to get very high numbers than others. For example, the Paladin, because in 2nd edition Dungeons & Dragons, the Paladin requires very high strength, very high charisma, and moderately high wisdom. The way the game works when you roll statistics as a Paladin is you'll roll them, it'll do them randomly, and then say if that random charisma roll isn't at 17, which is required, it'll automatically boost it up.
Oh my god.
So you can only get 17 or higher when you roll statistics as a paladin. So like that's the easiest way to get in the 90s to 100 total attribute points is to play a paladin, but I've already beaten the game as a paladin. So yeah, this is the number one most important thing to do in this game is to start the game with very high statistics. Because all this game is inventory management and random number generation based on those numbers.
Yeah. Yep. So if you're in for that kind of astute commentary on the video game form, this is the podcast for you, noble listener. I'm pointing at.
So what about you, Kunzelman? How did your stats work out?
So I'm playing Ticklevar, the sorcerer. He's very cool guy. And his stats are just pretty normal. Like I wasn't trying to min-max. I spent all of 2 seconds. I think I hit reroll one time. And but I've got a like an 18 in dexterity.
That's good.
And then like 12s and 14s for the other important stuff.
Okay.
So it's not so bad. Really interesting though. When I like quickly tabbed out of the game when I was rolling these stats to figure out, where wizards need intelligence, barbarians need strength. What does a sorcerer need? And in I guess 3rd edition or at least 4th edition, the sorcerer needs charisma. That's like their stat, right?
Their force of will.
Yeah, they're. It actually doesn't make a lot of sense. You would think it would be wisdom since then, but yeah. So charisma is their like big stat, and so like I like tab out. I go on the internet to look to make sure that's true, and on the internet they just say no. Because this game doesn't think about that or doesn't care very much. Intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, none of them matter for the sorcerer at all. In fact, there's no spell statistic for the sorcerer. And so I just put all of those points in dexterity. Another thing that's really interesting, so you're talking about like your barbarian ability of being able to rage out, to go into your barbarian rage or whatever it's called, berserk. The big thing about the sorcerer is that they are like a spellcasting class that doesn't have a spell book necessarily. So they just inherently, like in their blood, I think that's the literal logic of the D&D sorcerer. They have magic in their blood. So when they level up, they get new spells, and they can cast all those spells twice per day, I want to say. But there's no like going out to a library and learning new spells or buying new spells. You're kind of stuck with what you got. So I'm stuck with like chromatic orb and charm person for a while.
Yeah. So I guess the lore reason behind a sorcerer's main stat not being a stat, it's just being a static bonus, is that in I guess 2nd edition, sorcerers are they're like you're just born with it. It's not tied to how smart you are or how wise you are. It's just a facet of who you are that is so inherent it's not tied to any attribute, one or another.
But what about how sexy your blood is? You got sexy, charismatic blood.
I don't know. So it's an interesting kind of metaphysical aspect of this game. But so basically, your character. I don't know. What is your character's highest statistic? Dexterity?
Yep.
You're just really good at waggling those fingers.
Moving around. I don't even think they have to do that. I think they probably just like unhinge their jaw and magic flies out.
That's kind of, yeah. It's weird. Harry Potter is a wizard in that Harry Potter universe, but really if it were D&D, he would be a sorcerer because he kind of just like has these powers without studying them, right? In the beginning of that series.
I don't know. It's been a very long time. I don't think that's how that works though.
You don't think that's how that works in Harry Potter world? Or
I don't think so. Yeah, I think. Are you talking about Harry Potter?
Yeah, I'm talking about Harry Potter.
The Harry Potter's the one.
He's the Half-Blood Prince.
Is that the one where it's the 4 people and they study ghosts and they like build a little trap? No.
You're thinking about Babadook.
Oh yeah, that's the Babadook. I'm right. You're right. It's been a long day.
It has.
Been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate. So, diving right into Baldur's Gate, into the plot of Baldur's Gate, you don't really learn a lot. You don't really get a lot of info before you start this game.
No, and I feel like you get a little animation and a short few paragraphs that are narrated to you, but the game has nice little excuses for this, right?
Okay.
You, the protagonist, the character that you just made.
By the way, this is what you're about to say makes no sense.
Okay.
But I want you to say it. But just for the audience at home, while they're listening to this, none of this makes any sense. But go ahead.
You, the protagonist, are a 20-year-old person who has spent virtually their entire life in a monastery of sorts, with a kind father-like figure who has basically shielded you from the world. And this monastery is a repository for all of the world's knowledge, and scholars line up and bend over backwards to have access to this monastery. But despite the fact that the monastery has all the knowledge in the world, no one in the monastery knows anything about what's happening in the world. So that is like the fundamental contradiction of Candlekeep.
And everyone hates it.
And yeah, well, except the people. Well, I guess even the people inside, they kind of dislike their lives, don't they?
I'm really confused about why there's a tavern in Candlekeep, a place where no one can go.
Yeah,
except the people who live there.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to get drunk in Candlekeep somewhere, right?
That's true.
There's probably a bar of some type in Antarctica, right? On these research stations.
I don't know. I think much like Candlekeep, I think that if you get drunk in Antarctica, your chance of wanting to off yourself in the frozen darkness probably goes way up. And the same thing in Candlekeep.
Yeah.
But
so Candlekeep is a bizarre place.
It's very bizarre and doesn't make a lot of sense about like how it could exist. But so in Candlekeep, we are introduced to a couple characters that matter. You're immediately, like, as soon as the game begins, someone tries to murder you. I think 2 people try to murder you.
2 people try to murder you within the very walls of Candlekeep itself. You've been told urgently, hey, go to the inn, get your supplies, and then come and meet Gorian, your father figure, because you need to go somewhere. And of course, as a good player, we spend, we exhaust Candlekeep. We do not go to Gorian immediately. Yeah. We go in the inn. We talk to people in the inn. We go upstairs. I rob some people. I open some stuff I shouldn't upstairs, and a guard confronts me on my way down. I murder the guard.
Really?
No one knows anything about me murdering. My reputation goes down 5 points after I murder the guard, but all the other guards are oblivious to the fact that I murdered this guard and I'm now wearing his helmet.
That's like a really good question. So I'm playing the game as a good character with a good party. Are you playing the game as an evil character with an evil party?
I'm chaotic. I think I'm chaotic neutral.
Okay, well, you murdered, a man of the law
in
a
so
lawless
here's the thing.
world.
I was upstairs. I opened some things. I took some things out of things. I tried to go downstairs. A man appeared in armor, pointed a sword at me, and said, look, you need to pay for this stuff. Give me your money.
And you're I'm a child who's never left.
And I tell him I don't have money, which is true. I spent all my money getting a 2-handed longsword, which I have 2 little pips of proficiency at. And then, after I say I don't have money, he attacks me.
And so you killed him.
Well, I defended myself.
There's a thin line here.
Look,
Could you have run away, you think?
No. It's he was blocking the stairwell.
So not in a video game reason you couldn't, but just it would be very inconvenient to have to path him up into the thing and then back down.
I don't know if I would have been able to survive that kind of onslaught. I mean, my stats are pretty good, but that's a lot of him wailing on me while I try to click around.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Okay, so you were introduced to a dude just doing his job. You get introduced to 2 murderers trying to kill you.
Yeah.
You get introduced to a barkeep who tells you about an elf's arse or something.
Every time.
It's clean as an elf's arse.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he says. And then we're introduced to Alondo.
Mm-hmm.
Alondo is like a god or like a prophet or something. Mm-hmm. And he's got these like cool dudes, and you'll hear some of this. I'm pretty sure the Alondo thing is going to be the theme for this podcast. Just those people yelling about Alondo. And and those show up a lot of times because they tell the prophecy of the ball spawn, which we'll maybe not even talk about in this episode, depending.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in this game.
Well, because I feel like we don't want to like spoil anything, right? Like we want to move through at the pace of the game, right?
Exactly, yeah. But if you were playing this game the first time, sometimes you run into folks. These folks are pattering on about nonsense, like it doesn't make any sense. You'd have to really be in the lore of the Forgotten Realms and Faerun and all of that to understand any of what these people are saying at this stage in the game.
It's true. And then we're introduced to your like stepdad.
Well, before we meet the stepdad, we briefly meet kind of a stepsister type figure, like a little sister figure.
Imoen.
Mm-hmm.
So annoying.
Yeah.
I don't know who thought that those like voice clippy things were a good idea for her.
Mm-hmm.
Because a bad time.
The barks, I guess.
Yeah, the barks. Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So then we meet Gorion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you say it. And he's like, we got to get the hell out.
Yeah.
we got to leave.
And he'll give you a brief opportunity if you want to finish one of the quests in Candlekeep. You can say, "Hey, give me a second. Give me a second, Pops." Mm-hmm. Which he will just allow you to do, and maybe you want to go help that dwarf kill those rats down in the south eastern corner of the fort. Maybe you want to get Lieutenant Hull's sword out of the barracks. Maybe you want to do those. Maybe you want to find that stuff next to the cow and give it back to that woman up in the north. Maybe you want to do those things before you head out.
I didn't do any of that.
Okay.
I started the crossbow mission and realized it would just take so long to walk back across the map to deliver something, and I just took the crossbow bolts with me when I left.
Okay.
I went back and I actually bought them, and then I didn't do anything with them.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's how that is.
They're gonna be a vital part of you winning a really big boss battle later. Because
no one in my party can use a crossbow.
It's like Chekhov's crossbow bolt.
Oh man, that would be great. I want to kill the final boss with the crossbow bolts. So you do that. You like get yourself. I mean, I guess very charitably we can say that Candlekeep's like the tutorial level.
Sure.
Because goddamn, this game throws you in the deep end as soon as it's over.
Yeah.
Like it ties like weights around your waist and throws you in the water. It's
more or
that bad.
less.
So we get the hell out of Candlekeep. We start running across the ground like a field with Gorion. It's nighttime, and then some dudes show up and they just straight up murder him.
Yeah. And you get a first taste of, well, I guess you've had a few tastes of what combat is like up until this point.
Well, you had a very significant taste of what it was like.
That's
like
true,
the swift death of another man.
But you kind of see maybe what a higher level character can do. There are a lot of spells cast in this little cutscene, which isn't a cutscene, it's just kind of the battle playing out. Probably with the random number generation off, they just like everything that's supposed to hits. But Gorion is taken down, he takes down 2 ogres and a few other folks, but ultimately an armored man, and I think that a spellcaster survived when I saw him go down. It was like an armored guy and a woman, maybe a cleric or a sorceress. They killed him. They killed him with spells and with swords.
Mm-hmm. And somehow these like super magical people can't chase down a 20-year-old in the forest, so you get away.
Yeah.
Which let me be clear, much like Candlekeep, makes no sense. It it is the most fantasy-ass novel thing in the world.
Sure.
To make this plot get going. So you're not murdered immediately, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so yeah, you wake up the next morning, Imoen shows up through plot convenience.
Yeah.
She says, oh, hey, I snuck out, because I didn't want to be there anymore. I want to hang out with you.
And she witnessed Gorian's murder.
Mm-hmm. Did she?
Yeah, she said, I saw everything. I'm so sorry.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
So she's there. You go collect crap off the body.
Mm-hmm.
You
could or you couldn't. If this is your first playthrough, you might not go north to collect that stuff.
She tells you to.
Oh, she tells you to?
Uh-huh. I was actually reading what she said, and which I normally would not do.
Mm-hmm.
And I would wander away.
That you can advance the plot without going up there, though.
Oh, 100%, and have no idea what you're supposed to do.
Sure.
Like, not a single clue.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so really the only two things on that first map, and I think both of those things are interesting, is there is a wolf, and there are two characters named Zar and Montaron.
There are two black bears also. One of which won't aggro you, and the northernmost will.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Did you fully explore this entire?
I gave it a good 85%. I think that's more or less everything that's in the level. Occasionally, if you hold down the tab button, you'll see if there's stuff on the ground that you can interact with. Yep. And you might find like a cache here and there, but yeah, that bear is a bad sad time. You get killed pretty hard.
Well, so does the wolf. The wolf also straight murders you.
Yeah, I skipped the wolf. I knew where it was and I walked around it.
So I fought the wolf. I fought the wolf 4 times and died every single time, and died in one hit more than one time in that little run. So this game, like, throws you out into it. Says, "Look at your dad get murdered." You're like, stepdad, whatever. And then begins to just murder you over and over again.
Yeah,
which is why that quick save button becomes very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so then there's Zar and Montaron, that are like two, we could say, just evil characters.
And, I mean, our first interaction with them, they're quite sketchy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They say, we're going to give you some health potions.
I took the health potion.
Me too. And I added them to my party. Did you add them to your party?
Oh, no, they said, hey, we want to go to this mine. I said, hey, I'm meeting up with some friends first. I got to meet some friends. And then they just walked off.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's a big thing in this game, is if you say no to somebody, they just leave.
Mm-hmm.
That happened to me more than one time already. If you just, someone approaches you with an idea and you're like, you know, internally in your video game player mind, you're like, I don't want to do this just yet. We'll wait on it. They just leave. They go about their whole life without giving a shit about you, which I think is pretty cool.
Sure.
I mean, like, it's a kind of a bummer when it happens. And so, yeah, so you do that. And so I have them in my party, and you don't have them in your party right now.
No. I don't think I will ever get Zar and Montaron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One guy is, Zar is like a wizard, and Montaron is a thief, which is a pretty bad compliment to my party creation. I feel like I'm going to have that problem through the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to go for an all spellcaster party?
Oh, that would be amazing, but no.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of spellcasters in this game, though.
A lot.
I think that's actually the big chunk of NPCs that you can recruit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so you go to the next screen, and an old man shows up, and the old man's like, hey, what are you doing, young man? And
you can be rude to the old man, or you can be nice to the old man, or, you know, there's a few dialogue options.
Mm-hmm. Were you rude to him? No,
because he's fucking Elminster.
I thought there'd be no spoilers.
Oh, God.
Okay, all right. So we'll explain for people who don't know. Explain who fucking Elminster is.
Okay. So, you know how in DC Comics, there's a comic book character called Superman.
Yeah, you're really going down to... You know how there's words.
Anyway, okay. Elminster is the Superman of Forgotten Realms. He is a very, very powerful wizard. His exploits are legendary. He co-wrote the Baldur's Gate 2 instruction manual. he like got sent to hell, and then hell gave up. I think that's what happened at the end of that book, right?
In the novel Elminster in Hell.
Yeah.
They're not hiding anything there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did not read that.
Yeah, but he just kind of wrecks hell, and they spit him back out because he's so strong. He's just such a strong wizard, you know. But that's who Elminster is, and you don't want to look. If an old man in a pointy hat comes up to you, and you have an opportunity to be nice to him at no cost to you, how about you go ahead and be nice? That's video game advice, and that's real life advice.
That's a universal, I think. I don't think you can ever do wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because like an old man especially with a big beard and then a pointy hat, there's like an 85% chance they're a wizard.
Yeah, more or less.
Across all domains, that's probably true.
Yeah.
All right, so at this point in the game, it tells you, look, you need to go with the friendly arm in. So you can either learn that from a letter on Gorion's body, or you can learn that from Elminster, I think, right?
Yeah.
Like if you haven't already figured that out. So you go through some wilderness, like some more screens of wilderness. And really funny, the first time I tried to go the friendly arm in, I was waylaid by enemies. Which, and if you haven't played the game before, that just means like if you're traveling between 2 points, there's like a statistical chance that you get a random encounter. And normally
it's
that would be
not
like
a part of the world map. Like, you aren't actually in a location on the world map. You are in between two locations.
Yeah, and so like the Fallout games use that as well.
Sure.
I can't think of other games that use it, but there's got to be some. Oh, like random battles too, right? It's
like JRPG type stuff.
Yeah, and so normally that would be like some gibberlings, which are like little gobbo looking dudes who like bite on you, and they're blue. Yeah. Or it would be like a brown bear or a black bear. This was, I swear to God, 15 bandits. And as soon as the game loaded, I'm not even kidding. As soon as the game loaded, they just straight up killed my PC. Like, they all shot him with an arrow. All of them. It was so weird.
And
I've never seen that happen before. Yeah, he just died, and then the screen went black or whatever, and then a hand appeared. And then it slowly whiffed away in the wind. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
So after I made it through that, we go the friendly arm in. So you want to talk about the friendly arm in? I know you have a special personal connection.
Yeah, the friendly arm in is interesting. When you first go there are a few folks you can talk around the inside the wall, like in the fort itself, but not in the actual inn itself, which is the keep in the middle of the property. There are some hobgoblins in the periphery that are a part of a little quest you can do. There's a temple outside, but I guess the friendly arm in is just an interesting thing because if you when you go inside, which I know we're going to get to going inside, but when you finally get inside and you talk to the owners of the Friendly Arm Inn, the owners of the Friendly Arm Inn are probably the most powerful beings in this universe.
Wait, who owns the Friendly Arm Inn?
It's Bentley and another person whose name starts with G, and you'll ask, oh, well, how did they found it? And then the innkeep is or the bartender is basically like, oh, well, it was like a haunted mansion that was under the control of Baal, and these adventurers came and cleared it out. And you know what they did after they cleared it out? They said, you know what we need to do? We need to start a bar here. We need to start a hotel and bar. And so they do. And then even though they're probably level 17 wizards or what have you, these people just settle down and spend the rest of their life in the hospitality industry.
Well, I mean, we need positive role models like that. You don't want a kid growing up and thinking the only life for you is a life that ends in like a dungeon somewhere, bloodied and torn, right? You don't want that. You want the good life. You want to do all your adventuring and then retire to the hospitality industry. Which explains why Baragost, which we'll talk about toward the end of this podcast, Baragost has 4 inns or 3 inns for a population of maybe 200 people.
Yeah, if that.
That is very generous.
Mm-hmm.
And they are packed to the gills with people, let me tell you.
80% of Faerun's economy is the hospitality industry. There's no question.
Oh, we should run the numbers.
We should like figure out in terms of like pure economic exchange.
Just like how many, that should be pretty easy, right? We'll just like count all of the like establishments of business in the Baldur's Gate game. And then
not just establishments, but you've got cooks, you've got bar, winches, you've got the merchants inside those hotels. Like I think that number dwarfs the people with the cart outside selling apples or what have you.
I bet so.
Wow.
Well, maybe we'll make like a fun graph.
We might.
It'll just be like a sharp turn upward. Whatever that's called.
Yeah.
That one.
One of those. Yeah, where we know our math.
Yeah, I'm a math literal wizard.
But I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse here. In order to find out that information, you have to be inside the Friendly Arm Inn. And you in order to get inside the Friendly Arm Inn, you've got to go up like this little staircase to get there. And someone interrupts your little stair climbing.
Yep, and they say, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna murder you.
Well, first they say, hey, you're this person, right? Now they'll use your name or what have you.
And you go, no, I'm not that person.
And then they say, no, I know you're that person. I'm going to kill you. Like, I think that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's a real... there are a lot of parts of this game that feel like a real D&D game. Like, it feels like you are playing against a DM. And that like a lot of that is in the like NPC conversation stuff. Yeah,
the fact that there is a DM just railroading you somewhere.
Well, not just railroading you, but like they're like, all right, so this character, it's got to have a hook to it, so you remember who they are. So I'll give them a speech impediment, and then you know what I mean. So it's like it feels like that like one level improv kind of thing. But yeah, no, there's a lot of like straight up railroading. Of the game just not being able to be like, oh, you must not be that person. Farewell, traveler. No, we have to fight now. And so, yeah, there's a mage. And so, historically, this battle's been, like, mega hard. Yeah. Like, I don't know if it was that way for you, but I remember playing this game, like, every other time I've played this game. And this battle being, like, a real kick in the teeth.
No, I remember the first time, or even the last time, like before this time I played this game and I got to the Friendly Arm Inn, I probably reloaded and loaded this battle dozens of times, like maybe 50 times. Because I think there was more than one combatant that we were fighting. Yeah, that's
my memory too. My memory is there was someone up on the stairs.
Yeah.
And then maybe someone who like comes up from behind. So it like splits your party.
And there were several spellcasters in this enemy party, and they were using like confusion magic and charm person and stuff like that. So that's how I remembered this fight. So, I did my due diligence and I quick saved before going up the stairs. And I also, when the person started coming down the stairs, I ran away and ran to the guards because I remember that's one of the few ways I was able to beat this fight is making sure that there were two guards nearby when this person aggroed me. But anyway, so this guy attacks me and I just murder him. It's over. There's only one person. So I don't know. Maybe that's an enhanced edition thing. Maybe they were like, way too many people quit this game before even getting inside the Friendly Arm Inn.
Like, there have to be a non-insignificant amount of people that hit that and were like, this game is not for me.
Yeah.
I'm over it. So yeah, that's an interesting, change that happens. And, part of me thinks, that's good that they removed that, because that was a big stumbling block. Part of me thinks, though, that, that fight, for as frustrating as it is, really does set you up for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
That anytime you meet a wizard, it's a frustrating time.
Yeah, and it's a microcosm of the way very difficult fights work in the game, which I know that people do this game in Iron Man mode, where they never save and they never reload, etc., but the vanilla experience of this game is getting to a hard fight and, trial and error, like down to meters of placement on where people are when the fight begins, down to who has what equipment, down to, micromanaging potions and micromanaging who people are targeting and things like that. And this was kind of the first fight where you really had to think about that, and in order to progress, you couldn't without doing that. So, yeah, it's interesting that they took it out. It makes me wonder, what else changed? Like, I wonder if some of the other harder fights that I'm thinking of in the later game, I wonder if they're still difficult. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
So, really the rest of the stuff that happens in the Friendly RMN is really NPC based. So, we have, up until this point, for me, I've got Zar and Montaron and Imoen, and then me in my party. So I have 2 spellcasters and 2 thieves, which is a real bummer. It's hard to win fight. I mean, you fold pretty quick to 12 bandits when you have 4 hit points for 2 of your party members. And so here you can get Khalid and Jaheira, who Jaheira is a druid, and Khalid is a warrior, I want to say, or fighter.
Fighter, yeah.
And that really smooths out the game a little bit. She's like a nature-loving, like, druid stereotype.
Sure.
And he's like a goofy, cowardly warrior.
A scaredy
fighter.
cat.
He is. And he's got a stutter.
Yeah. He's petrified constantly. Like, hearing the voice acting is great.
Oh, it's amazing. And I think either there's additional voice acting. I don't remember there being as much voice acting in the original versions, but I just might have had that turned off.
Sure.
Because that's the thing I do. But I've been paying attention to all of it this time. And a new addition here in the Friendly RMN is this character called Dorn, who is he's a half-orc of some sort. I don't know what his class is.
And he's quite rude.
He's very rude. He was very rude to me, and I tried to recruit him, and it didn't let me do anything. So I'm assuming I have to come back later.
Yeah, and I think there's actually a little quest update, which the interface, another difference between the original and the enhanced edition, there's a really streamlined kind of eye candy quest interface now, where when
Which
you
is
get
like a modern quest interface.
a modern quest interface where when you get a quest, it will let you know, and not just tell you in like the little text box next to the combat.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, there's a quest and it says, maybe you can come back. Like, it's very gamey.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
That's okay. And the only other thing that I thought was interesting here is that there's this, like, gnome or a halfling, probably a gnome, it doesn't matter, a short character. The character models in this game are not very specific.
No, yeah, I think you can kind of tell the difference between a dwarf and the other shorter characters, but... Yeah.
But, and he told me about a belt fetish ogre that, like, stole his belt. And, this dude named Unchi is like a little gnome or something. And then, on my way to Baragost, which is, like, the next place, that I went in the game, I fought a belt fetish ogre. Who, like, came right at me. And I beat him up really easy. I was very surprised at how easily I beat up the ogre, and I got 2 magical belts.
Well, you're at a full party now, right?
Yeah, so I've got 6 people, which is the maximum party size for this game.
So you can kind of get to the maximum party size in a healthy half hour.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you can get past those bandits.
If you can get past those bandits, the wolf, and the nerfed mage, sure.
Then you can do that. So yeah. I got 2 magic belts. I've only identified one, which is like the belt of gender reversal or gender flipping or whatever.
It's a curse belt that just changes it really only changes the animation. Like, there's no other, not the animation, but the character model, right? Yeah.
I didn't put it on. I assumed something else bad would happen. You read cursed belt and you don't put stuff on.
I think that the problem is you can't take it off. So it's like just taking up that slot.
Well, I'm glad I didn't just put it in there. But yeah, so I have another one too, but I haven't identified it yet. So we'll find out next episode.
Oh, man.
All right, so the last thing we did for this episode was go to Baragost, which is like a trade city. I guess, like a little trade town.
A hospitality industry town.
It is 100% dedicated to the hospitality industry.
Yeah, a man approaches you when you first zone into Baragost, and he says, "Oh, well, how can I help you?" And you can ask like 8 questions.
Mm-hmm.
And the questions like, "Oh, I want to go to a luxury inn," or "Oh, I want to go to just, simple inn." "Oh, I want to go to a tavern." "Oh, I want to go to a blacksmith." And this person, who's very helpful, will tell you where all of those things are. They won't appear on your map or anything, so you'll have to like actually listen to him and and he'll give you ordinal directions. So, it's a trade town. That's exactly what it is. That's kind of all that's going on here.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. So, what did you? I think you did less than I did in Baragost. So
I did a little bit less, and I think that it's the reason why I did a little bit less was the outcome of my little adventure.
Okay.
I was walking the streets of Baragost. I probably had a similar experience that you did. I went into a tavern. Some drunken guy picks a fight with me. That doesn't end well for him.
Merle. His name was Merle.
Yeah, and there's a guy behind him like rooting him on, and I'm like, "Merle, you do not want to mess with me." The game gave me an option to buy him a drink, and I bet I could have placated him that way.
No, I did that. I tried to buy him a drink.
It
didn't work.
I was like, "I'm not buying you a drink," and then he attacked me, and my half ogre barbarian critical hitted him, and he exploded. Just straight up, there's not a body anymore. There's like his loose tunic on the ground, and a club, I think, or something, right?
Oh, dang, he came at you with a club?
Yeah.
I think Khalid killed him for me. I don't even think I had to do much. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a real bummer.
And then the guy is just standing there behind, like, his friend, and if you talk to him, he just calls you, "You murderer!" He's, like, in shock, and that's all he can say now. But anyway, so I do that, and I'm walking the streets, and this fellow, who I know is important because the game has given this person a portrait.
Mm-hmm. And it separates from the haves from the have-nots.
Exactly. There's this character, I believe the name was Garrick, and Garrick says, "Hey, you want to make 300 gold? I need to pay for protection." And like, my friend Silky is a musician, and there's some people after her, and they're bad people. And I say, "Sure, that's perfectly fine."
So I'm just really quickly. So I said, "No, I've got shit to do," and he wandered away.
Okay.
And then I died immediately after that, and I'd not quick saved in between, so I got a second chance at it.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, anyway, sorry.
No worries. So I follow Garrick, and he takes me to Silky.
To a sweet motorcade.
Yeah, to a really loud motorcycle. Takes me to Silky around the bend. Silky says, "Hey, there's some people coming to attack me." I said, "Hey, 300 gold sounds like a perfectly fine deal. I can take care of these people." Anyway, these 3 gentlemen show up, and they're obviously not attacking Silky. And Silky's like, "Oh, defend me, kill them." And I'm like, I'm wising up here, Silky. You just want me to kill these guys. You're not actually threatened by them. You're just using me as your little hit squad. So I say no. And Silky is a spellcaster of some sort, and then disappears, and then reappears, and then casts a spell, and 3 of people in my party disintegrate, just die, including my main character. And then I just reloaded, and I didn't quick save within Baragost, so I was just like, bam, right back to the beginning of Baragost. That's what happened.
So you didn't try it again yet?
I haven't tried it again.
Oh, dang. Okay, so I had the same thing happen to me, and I died about, 7 times.
Okay.
While trying to do that. So much that you were talking about, very particular character placement and stuff like that. I ended up doing that. I ended up, putting, 3 spellcasters. Oh, no, Imoen with a bow and 2 spellcasters, in a weird triangle all around her, so she couldn't shoot all 3 of them at one time. Because when your character is disintegrated, she casts Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
And it just straight up killed everybody.
Yeah, it was basically a chain lightning type effect where we were all so close together it hit everybody.
Yep. And so that happened to me too, several times. And I finally got her. And those dudes aren't even that appreciative.
Damn.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you think maybe I'll give just killing these dudes a shot.
I think if you do that, she turns on you anyway.
Really? It's the
so.
DM syndrome again?
The DM's a railroader, for sure. So other interesting stuff that happened in Baragost for me is that in every single inn you go into, there is a person who's trying to kill you. And one of them, the fight is so hard, I can't even do it. I have died.
You've got a full party.
I've got a full party, and I've died multiple times. So, I just don't go in that inn anymore. I've tabled that for a moment.
Well, that's a really good reason to have that many hotels in a town. If one of them just has someone that kills your patrons when they come in, and you cannot, they're so strong, no one can overpower this person. There's probably only one inn in Baragost in the beginning, and they were like, we're going to have to build more. This guy's not leaving.
Just one industrious person was like, holy shit, if I built an inn across town, and I didn't let the murder guy in there, then I could start raking in the cash. Think of all the people that come to my inn. Yeah, that's definitely what happened. So there's that. There is another NPC called Kagain, Kagain, who is like a trader, or like he hires out mercenaries, I think, to protect iron. Like iron shipments.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of breadcrumbs about the iron situation. When you talk to patrons, even in the Friendly Arm Inn, they'll talk about an iron shortage that is happening. Yep. And so, you put two and two together, even as a gamer on your first playthrough, and you're thinking, a lot of people are pointing to these mines, something's going on here.
Mm-hmm. And so, Zar and Montaron want to go to the mines at Nashkel, which is where we're ultimately going. And then Khalid and Jahira also want to go there.
Are Khalid and Jahira specific on why they want to go to the mines?
Nope, I don't think so.
Which is weird, right? Like, our father figure dies. He says, hey, meet up with these people. You like, travel through the wilderness. A 20-year-old, you've never been exposed to the dangers of the world, really. And you make your way to this weird inn in the middle of nowhere. And there's your father figure's buddies. And immediately they're like, oh, we're so sorry to hear about him. We're going to these mines, so I guess take us there. And it's not like they take you there. You take them there.
Yeah, you're the boss now. They're like 40-year-old adults. And you're like a 20-year-old, and they're like, look, our life's in your hands, buddy. You have 4 hit points. Lead on. We're all level 1 somehow, despite spending years adventuring. So there's the iron shortage and everything. The game's kind of funneling us toward Nashkel. So Kagain, he came into my party. I recruited him.
Who'd you kick out?
Let me get to that in just a second.
Oh, man.
So he wanted to do that. He has like his own little quest where he wants to go. He lost the son of a baron or a noble or some sort. He was supposed to protect them and didn't do that. And so that's his quest that we have to go do. So presumably I'll go do that at some point. So I had a hole in my party. And the reason I had a hole in my party is that on one side of Baragost, there's another new non-player character called Nira. And Nira is a wild mage, which is pretty cool. And so she's being attacked by a red wizard of Thay, and you have to defend her from the red wizard, who's trying to capture her to study her wild magic.
Which really, thematically, a wild mage is thematically indistinguishable from a sorcerer.
Well, they can't control their magic. That's the difference. It's inborn in them in the same way it's inborn in a sorcerer, but they can't control the output of their magic.
So they're just worse than sorcerers.
Yeah. Sometimes better, but sometimes you will give your entire party a detrimental effect while trying to cast magic missile.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Loose cannon.
Absolutely. So I protected her and got rid of the red wizard and killed these mercenaries that were after her. And so I had Zar and Montaron at the time, and I was like, all right, so I can keep my double wizard, double thief thing going on. And they come as a pair. You can't get rid of one.
Oh.
You have to take them both, or you have to get rid of them both. And I was like, all right, I don't need 2 thieves. I don't need 2 wizards in my party. So I traded off them and got her. and which still gives me 2 wizards, which is kind of still not optimal. But I got her, and then I added Kagain, who is a fighter. So now I've got 2 fighters, a druid, a sorcerer, and a wild mage, and a thief. So I've got like a classic D&D party.
Very D&D. You just need a cleric somewhere, but the druid's kind of picking up that slack.
Yeah, I mean, I've got her fully doing that. And Viconia is in this game too, right?
She should be, yes.
And so, yeah, eventually Viconia will sub in somewhere. Because that's a fun character.
Viconia is really fun, but yeah, that's kind of... We're in the preliminary stage of this game, I think. I think if you're playing through the game the first time and you get to this point, I feel like you feel like you're finally getting to the game right at around this point.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Yeah, and the game really, we were talking about this before we started the whole thing, but the game kind of opens up pretty soon. And so I think, yeah, we'll just end up the next few episodes talking about just some missions that we've done, probably. And what those are like. And we probably won't even have done the same ones.
Yeah, because it's not as much as, say, Baldur's Gate 2 does.
My God.
But yeah, there comes a point in Baldur's Gate 1 where if you want to just rush the plot, you can make this game pretty quick. It'll be a little harder probably because of experience reasons, but aside from that, it does open up and you can kind of do things in different orders. There's not really an official order. It gets pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it for this episode. That's all we've done this week. I think we're shooting for like bi-weekly or something like that for this.
Yeah.
I think this episode will come out next Thursday. I believe this episode will hit the streets, as the kids say, on June 9th. That's my plan. Because currently the idea is that on Tuesdays, our Beyond Two Souls Let's Play goes up, and on Thursday, something else goes up.
Oh, man.
That's my current schedule.
That's a good schedule.
So yeah. So anyway. All right, everyone. So thanks for listening so much. Danny, do you have any additional things to say here at the end?
If you're playing through with us, just remember, mages always first. Always target the mages first.
Absolutely. And right now, I'm gonna probably have some little outro, and then I'm gonna put in the clip of you when we started this recording, interrupting me during me saying the name of the podcast.
We're going to start a little blooper tradition.
Yeah, a little blooper here at the end.
Okay, great.
Okay, so thanks for listening to Mages and Murderdads. See you again in 2 weeks.
Ciao.
So saith the wise Alondo.
Welcome to the first... Oh, God damn it.
All right, you go.
That's not a welcome to you.